For your chance at winning one of my finished models, head over to my Patreon page. I have a link in the description and enter the monthly giveaway. The wheels that I will be using for this build were supplied to me free of charge by Plamos. I was not paid to say or do anything. I used them because I actually kind of like them and I love the way that Plamos produces their products, so any showcase is a good showcase in my opinion of their fantastic products. Now let's just get into the build. Firstly, we're going to prep the body and test fit a couple of parts and then glue some of the parts in place that can be glued in place before I need to paint them, of course that is. So that rear trunk lid, I guess it is, could be glued in place first before I painted it, and I could also add that black strip with the reversing camera in, though it does require a bit of masking and maybe even some carbon fiber decals to detail it up, as it does need to be a different color than the rest of the body. But two of those smaller side pieces need to be painted in a different color anyway, so it could just add that one as well. For the small vents on the front fenders, I could glue those in as well, just using some Tamiya cement. I used a bit too much, so I took away the excess material and then moved on to cutting away all of the support material. The general clean and glue ups were now done, so I could move on to marking off all of the mold lines with a permanent marker. You could use the Edding one, I have a link in the description to those, but there are also Sharpie ones. I will add a link in the description as well of those. Those should work just as well. Now the reason that I'm doing this is to mark them off so I know where they are, and also to give it a bit of a black look. So if I sand it, the high parts will be gone, and once it's all gone, the marker that is, I know that the mold line is gone as well. So now that all of those mold lines are marked off and clearly visible, I take out some Tamiya sanding sponges in 400 grit in this case to get the rough spots out, and then later on I will sand it smoother with some 600 grit. After removing all of the mold lines, I now move on to scribing out the panel lines. In this case, I bought a couple of new scribers, as most of you ask where I got that Yellow House Club one. All of the links for these and the previous ones are linked in the description below. Now, firstly, I just wanted to test a couple of these. They were not super expensive, and I wanted to see the difference between the one that I had from Yellow House Club and the ones from Trumpeter in this case, and also the one from Tamiya side by side. Now basically I discovered that the Trumpeter one is for really fine and small details. In the bigger panel lines it doesn't really do a lot. It doesn't remove super much material at once. It's just for fine adjustments and really small and tight corners. So ideally I would like to use that one for those tighter corners. The one next is from Yellow House Club. This is by far the most expensive one, but also the best one all round in my opinion. The Yellow House Club Scriber does not really remove a lot of material the first pass. It can take 3 or 4 passes before you have the perfect panel line, or maybe even more if you so desire. It has a really nice step from one scribe to the next, and it doesn't really remove super much material at once, so you can really control it a lot more. The Tamiya one does remove a lot of material the first pass. It widens the panel line in most cases, and it also deepens it. Sometimes it struggles a bit as it does want to bite into the material a lot. You do need to be really careful, but it is a really handy tool to have, especially if you have some shallow panel lines and know that you are going to apply a lot of layers of paint. You can just widen them a lot and make it a lot easier on yourself and not have all the panel lines disappear at once after a couple of layers of paint. So to sum it up a bit, the Trumpeter one is for finer details and not the big work. The Yellow House Club one is a good all-rounder, and the Tamiya one is mostly for the rougher work if you need to use that. So pretty much all of them have their place and all of them can find their use. I will be using most of them on pretty much all my future builds wherever I desire to use them. So it's good to have all of them if you have the money to spare. If not, maybe the Trumpeter one or the Tamiya one would be the best for you. And if you want to spend a couple of bucks extra, get the Yellow House Club one as a good all-rounder. Now, as you could have seen, in the meantime, the body was sanded with some 600 grit sanding sponges from Tamiya to nicely scuff it all up and prepare it for primer. A final piece that I did decide to add was that black piece for the rear. I glued it in place with Tamiya plastic cement. So all of the body pieces are now prepped and ready for primer. Firstly, I just blew over the entire thing with some air, removing any of that loose or remaining dust, and then started on those hard to reach, easy to forget spots first, and moved on to a nice first layer of primer for the rest of the body. The first coat of primer has now been applied. I filled up the airbrush again with some more primer and set both aside for about 5 minutes. Moved on to the second coat, firstly again starting on those hard to reach, easy to forget spots, and then moving on to a nice coat on the rest of the body.